Welcome back, Wolfgang. This is the Fantasy Fixers Podcast, and I'm your host, Winston Wolf. We've made it to week 14, and this is the most important waiver week because, for one, it's the bye-pocalypse with the Falcons, the Packers, the Colts, the Saints, and the Commanders all on a bye. And this is the last game before the actual playoff push. If you're already locked into the playoffs, this is the time to prep for 2 weeks. From what you can surmise from the screenshots, I'm more than likely going to go to the playoffs in every league I'm in. That's the goal. Then it's most likely just luck from that point forward. I took pictures of the entire team because I had one of my partners thinking I was in some 6-man leagues or something. No, these are 10 to 12-man leagues that I'm doing very well and dominating in most. Now, most experts won't show you what they do. They're just going to give out the advice, but I'm going to show you I can back it up like a hard drive. Let's give the quick rundown to the news and notes real quick. Joe Mixon has a chance to clear concussion protocol, so your Samaj P. stock could plummet as of this week. Lamar Jackson of the Ravens went down with a knee injury and could be out days to weeks. Jimmy G of the San Francisco 49ers has a broken foot, so he's done for the season. Insert Brock Purdy. Yeah, I don't know who that is either, but good luck. Ken Walker of the Seattle Seahawks went down with an ankle strain. Hasn't been ruled out for week 14, but I would be very surprised if he plays. So you need to go get his backup, DJ Dallas, if you have Ken Walker. Pete Carroll is just too optimistic for my liking. He will be the only person to not panic on the Titanic. Let's go over the waiver moves for the week of week 14. The number one QB to add, I swear he's been on this list a million times, is Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. Now, this is a 1-week play because they face the Vikings at home. But after that, they play the Jets in week 15 on the road. So you'll be back to the QB carousel following this week. Goff put up 340 and 2 touchdowns. And it looks like Amon-Ra, the sun god, and DeAndre Swift are healthy, which should catapult him into the top 10, top 12 range for this week. The number 2 QB to get is Tyler Huntley of the Baltimore Ravens, who is negative 8% owned. Now, this is a deep dive if you have a QB on the bye, or if you're playing Lamar or Jimmy G, or you had those two rather. Huntley is better in 4 points per passing touchdown leagues because he's going to scramble. He's averaged 60 yards on the ground when he gets to start. This is an extreme 2 QB league desperation play. The number 1 running back to add is Dalvin Cook's little brother, James Cook. I don't know if this is a change of guard of the Bills running back, but you have to take notice when a player gets 20 touches out of the backfield. And so many times we've seen it where a rookie gets hot at the end of the season. Insert Amon-Ra St. Brown. Could this be it? Not sure, but I'm not going to allow someone else to pick him up and possibly face him in the playoffs getting 20 touches in this offense. Cook played on 43% of the snaps, and the biggest number is the routes ran. He ran 16 to Singletary's 14, but he caught all 6 targets for 41 yards. It's just hard for me to think the coaching staff could see how dynamic he was in the passing game and just go back to Singletary plowing down the field. And Josh Allen hasn't been right since the elbow injury, so he's not rushing as much. So maybe they took notice and was like, hey, we probably just need to check down the ball more to make sure our number 1 asset in Allen stays healthy. The number 2 running back is in a similar situation where the coaching staff has to give in and give the ball to him, and is Zonovan Bam Knight of the Jets. He was the number 1 ad last week and didn't disappoint. Back-to-back games with at least 100 yards, and he hasn't even hit the end zone yet. Now, this is a tough ad because Michael Carter could be back this week, but the Jets being in playoff contention, they just might sit Carter for a little while longer so he can get more healthy. The number 3 ad is a guy that I told you to drop off your team like a Netflix DVD with the late fee, and it's Cam Akers of the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I admit, from 1 week, I could have been wrong, and that's because I thought they would just split the backfield between 2 to 3 backs on the offense that's ran by John Wolford. But Akers played on 72% of the snaps, and he's literally the best player on this offense, so why not feed him the ball? It's their only chance of staying competitive in these games. Akers did have 2 TDs and will be very TD dependent going forward, but with 5 teams on the bye, he could be your best option at running back. And if he's the lead back getting 20 touches, he's worth it. Wide receivers. Let me get you the targets for the number 1 wide receiver ad. His targets for the last month have been 10, 7, 9, 10. And you hear that and you want to know, why would a player getting that kind of volume be under waiver wire? It's because he's getting targets from Kyle Allen of the Houston Texans. And this receiver is Nico Collins. it's been ugly, but he has 10 points on the waiver wire in 3 of his last 4 games. It's no receivers on this list that are going to be gangbusters. These are just flex plays at best. And I think Nico is a solid flex, getting you 10 PPR points, 5 catches, 50 yards. That's all you can count on out of Kyle Allen. The number 2 wide receiver is DJ Chark of the Lions. Now, I know it's hard to trust anybody outside of the sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But they lose Hockenson in a trade, so the targets have to go somewhere. Chark finally looks healthy. He played on 85% of the snaps and was second on the team in targets. Hockenson was averaging close to 8 targets a game, so somebody has to absorb these passes. He put up 5 for 98 last week. Jameson Williams played on 8 snaps, so it's not a thing. So this is speculation. Add him to your team, see how he works next week, and go forward. The number 1 tight end to add is Noah Fant of the Seahawks. Noah's output for the last one has been 14, 6, 6, 14 in PPR formats. Now, I know 6 seems like trash, but it's actually treasure for tight ends right now. Zach Ertz and Goddard rank 5th and 6th in PPR formats, and they haven't played since week 10. Hayden Hurst is doubtful. You got 5 teams on a bye. Njoku was inactive last week. It's not much out there outside of the top 10 tight ends right now, so Noah Fant might be your best option. If you have secured a playoff spot or you're on a bye, now's the time to stash handcuffs, running back handcuffs, and 2 defenses. Get your defense for the week as the Cowboys face the Texans, the Chiefs face the Broncos, and the Raiders face the Rams. Now, if you have a bye and you don't have a chance to fall into 3rd, don't even worry about this week or next week's defense. You just need to go after week 16's defenses. But those of us who don't have a bye, these are the streamers to get for week 15, which is the Chiefs versus the Texans, Packers versus the Rams. You have to get these 2 defenses now, because it will be a mad scramble next week on the waiver wire like a Black Friday sale. And you don't want to go through that. Go ahead and get them ahead of time. Next week, we'll talk about kickers, because I want to see how the weather shakes out over the weekend, because you want a kicker, if possible, that doesn't have to deal with the outside elements. Like if they have to play in Buffalo or New England or Green Bay and it's snowing. You want to avoid that at all costs. In conclusion, these are the picks you should make for the last playoff push. And if you have any questions, comments, starter sit questions, be sure to drop them in the comments and I will be sure to answer them. Thanks for being a part of the Fantasy Fixers. I'm out.